Who's never been to a Women in Emerging Tech event before? Quite a lot of you. Welcome. So I really want to, first of all, acknowledge our host, the Australian Computer Society, and you'll hear from them very soon, and to say thank you for hosting us and tell you a little bit about what we do at Women in Emerging Tech. First of all, I want to thank those women and men who support us every day. Women in Emerging Tech was born, I was running Women in Blockchain, and I thought we need to include more women in conversations about tech, not just blockchain, but also crypto, yes, cyber, AI, robotics, all these wonderful techs that we haven't had a chance to be more inclusive in the tech about. And so we started Women in Emerging Tech. Of course, it was at about 2020, so not much happened for a couple of years. But you will see Susan is one of my very firm supporters, and we had an event at Deloitte. And of course, ACS have been supporting us over this last couple of years. And we are part of the Digital Innovation Festival for Victoria, who fund us. So Kelly is a very wonderful support from the Victorian government. So we're very thankful for that support. We would not be able to do that without all of these wonderful people, and also to Elizabeth, who should be joining us online and telling us a little bit about her project soon, about avatars. Yeah, so you'll hear more from her, but she helped to prepare for this event. So thank you to Elizabeth. And I'm not used to pushing these buttons. Yes, I just want to also just, encourage us all to continue to surround ourselves with people who say yes. Without that, we can't create things. So we've got some wonderful sponsors: BitGet, Stables, BTC Markets, Deloitte, and of course the ACS and the Victorian government. So I'm going to hand over to Anshul in a minute. He is the State General Manager for Victoria for ACS. I do want to encourage you to have a look around, because this will be one of the last events in this beautiful space in Docklands, and then we'll be moving on to another venue, but there will be still amazing events. And Angela will talk to us about the benefits of being part of the ACS and being a member. But for me personally, I moved to Gold Coast about 2 years ago, and I didn't know anyone, and I was invited to speak at the ACS in Brisbane, and then I was told you should join, and I'm like, well, what's the benefit? And they said, well, there's co-working and we bring puppies to work. And I was like, okay, that's tick. And then they said, okay, and we've got a blockchain committee, and I was like, okay, I'll join the blockchain committee and I'll be your chair. And they're like, but you already have a chair. And I'm like, no, I will be. So step forward a year later, and I'm now the chair of the blockchain committee. So if you do join ACS, there are puppies and co-working, but there's also opportunities for leadership in technology and to really contribute back to society in terms of what we do around IT. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Anshul, our host for the evening.
Thank you very much, Karen, for a quick intro, and that was actually lovely to tell a bit about ACS from yourself. This year, in March, actually, we released 2023 Digital Pulse in partnership with Deloitte, and we received some insights on the state of gender diversity in Victoria, which is a bit of a concern for us. So if you see the scale over here, we've got 29% women working in technology sector in Victoria itself, which is quite a low number. And only 26% of women or gender diverse are enrolled as students in Victoria. As per the Digital Pulse report, we actually require 20,000 per year. And we've got only 6,500 enrolled students as we speak. And this is just in ICT space and just for Victoria. So this was quite a shocking number for us when we actually look at these numbers. Talking a bit about ACS itself, Well, ACS focuses on fostering an innovative and inclusive community by setting standards for assessing, developing, and recognizing skills so we can create a career pathway in ICT for locals as well as for migrants. We are here to talk about diversity. We are here to talk about people. But then as we speak about ACS, today we've got 50,000 plus members, of which have attended, about 12,000 have attended events in the last year, in the last 12 months. And we've got some digital resources of about 44,000 to upskill everyone as ACS members. And we've got some more resources over here. In the diversity space, we've got six special interest groups in ACS Victoria itself, of which 3 are led by women. So this is all I'm talking about ACS as internal organization. Blockchain Committee of Victoria is led by Dolly Barton. She's one of the promoters of Women in Emerging Tech. And as we speak, she's sitting with us. ACS Management Committee, the National Management Committee is led by a woman. So that's Helen McHugh, and she's based in New South Wales or Sydney. 8 of 8 state managers in Victoria, 4 are women. So that's like 50% again. And we have 50% gender diverse staff across the board. So internally, yes, ACS is doing pretty well in managing the diversity, but what about externally? As we see outside, it's a long journey ahead. This is my call out to everyone. Anyone in the room who wishes to join the drive and want to know more about ACS, please reach out to me. I will be here around for the whole evening, and I will love to join hands with anyone in the room to create a gender diverse and a gender equitable Victorian ICT landscape. That's pretty much from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Anshul. That was lovely. Okay, make sure you come and say hi to Anshul. He's always very friendly. Those of you who have not met Simon, he's the CEO of Blockchain Australia, and I've invited him just to give us a quick update about what's happening Blockchain Australia in the next week or so. Yeah, yeah. So
thanks, Karen. It's great to be here. I should mention I used to be on that blockchain committee for the ACS a couple of years back. I got as far as vice chair, not chair. So rest in peace, Mohammed. No, he's not actually dead. He just moved overseas. It's a terrible joke. Yeah, Blockchain Australia. So I'm been CEO of Blockchain Australia, moved into that role about a year ago, and I finish actually at the end of next week. We're the peak industry body for crypto and blockchain specific businesses. So please have a look at our website. We have Blockchain Week next week entirely in Sydney. We are partnering with the ACS, and we have day one, our largest day, being hosted at Barangaroo at the lovely ACS office there as well. So if you're interested, happy to have a chat, talk about a little bit about what we do. We do a lot of advocacy work on behalf of the industry, working to promote the industry to government, help them understand. It's a bit of a pivotal moment with regulation soon dawning upon us. I think there was a Senate Finance Legislation Committee meeting either yesterday or the day before, where Katie Gallagher mentioned that the draft legislation, which is expected in the second half of this year, will reach Parliament before the end of their term. So that would be great to see. And yeah, happy to have a chat. Thanks for including me.
thanks, Simon. Yeah, so those of us who can't get to Sydney, it's all online as well for some of the events next week, which is really exciting. That side. Okay, we have a panel coming up, but each of these members are going to speak. I think it's no accident that we have some fantastic women here tonight who are going to talk to us a bit about what is the metaverse, how do we get involved, how do we get on there, and also what is gaming, what's that going to look like in the future. We've got Elizabeth, who's got an amazing avatar project as well. And Ida's been working in gaming and just did a competition as well. So she's going to share some of the results from the ladies that have been programming as well. So Sumia, I'm going to call up first. She's the Metaverse lead. And I love this title. Who gets a title like Metaverse lead? How good is that? At NCS Australia, she's an accomplished emerging technology specialist and passionate advocate for diversity and inclusion in the tech industry. She's got a bachelor's degree in engineering, master's in design, innovation and technology, and she's a skilled engineer with expertise in virtual reality, augmented reality and the metaverse. And her role is Metaverse lead at NCS, where she spearheads innovative projects in these areas. As Women Tech Makers Ambassador and Women Who Code lead, she empowers women in technologies and fosters an inclusive tech environment. Her expertise in emerging technologies has made her a sought-after speaker and thought leader in the tech community. We're very lucky to have Sumia come and speak to us.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me well and good? Okay, I'll have a look at the slides. Yep. That's the agenda. And here we dive in. So thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Karen. I'll be giving you an introduction to the metaverse. And I'm Soumya Selvakumaraswamy. That's a cool, and I get to choose it. So yeah, it is Metaverse lead. So let's dive straight in. So what is the metaverse? It's pretty simple, straightforward, a virtual world where people can interact with each other and as well as the digital content. Seems straightforward, right? But here's when it gets complicated. If that's metaverse, then what is extended reality? Is it the same thing? What is augmented reality? What is virtual reality? Digital reality, yeah, that's the term that few people use as well. Augmented reality, it needs to show up somewhere. Yep, there it is. So you have just new terms coming up. I think last week, Microsoft released volumetric ads. So how many more words are they going to come up with? So let's just take a pause and focus on something we actually understand. Like watching a movie. We all know how to watch a movie. So if you think about watching a movie, we can watch it on our phone, get your Netflix on. Oh, God. Yep, there is it. You can watch it on your phone, right? Or you can take it a step further and watch it on TV with your family and friends, much more immersive, better sound. Or you can take it to the super next level and actually go to the theater and watch it with a whole community who's passionate about the same thing, much better sound, much more immersive. But at the end of the day, in all these three different cases, we are watching a movie, except that we're using three different technologies, like we're watching it on phone, TV, or in a movie theater. The final purpose is watching. It's just the experience which is different, which is immersiveness and how well the sound is, how many people can we contact with each other. And similarly, here we have Metaverse, which does the same thing. It's an experience or it's an idea or concept, and we experience it using augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality. So these are just tools to experience this digital content called something called Metaverse. And just like how a mobile phone and a TV had a different level of immersiveness and connection, augmented reality, mixed reality has a different levels of immersiveness. And we put it simply, metaverse is a concept or idea, while VR, AR are tools, technologies used to experience the metaverse. So that's kind of what metaverse is. Hope that helped. And as metaverse is fairly new, we are still in that space. And here's the familiarity of the term in Australia in the last year. And as you can see, there's a sudden spike in the term metaverse when Facebook changed it to Meta and started talking about metaverse. So people might still interchangeably use it. So it's up to us to kind of explain what exactly each and every term is. So feel free to be ready if your client comes up and be like, I want to create a metaverse for my Android app. That happened last week. So some of the key features of what makes something a metaverse. I can't really read it, but So one thing is immersiveness, right? We're not just witnessing it. We're not seeing it like somebody playing a game or somebody doing something, or a digital content. We are the creator. We are inside the metaverse, whether it's something you're doing on PC or you're putting on the headset or a mixed reality headset. You are the creator and you're creating your world as per your wish. And that's what makes this much more immersive. And I can't see the second point. And it's also, you should be able to interact with your digital content. You're creating it as much as anything you want. You can create a whole train station. You can create a library with a bookshop and a coffee shop, anything. There's no limit to what you can create in the metaverse. You're not controlled by what the platform lets you. And also the persistence of it. It doesn't stop existing. You're not creating a metaverse. That's what happens in video game, right? Yeah, you can create anything you want, but once you stop it, it's not like it's gone forever. Whatever I create in the metaverse, like my world that I created in the metaverse, it is always going to exist as long as the company decides to shut down or something, which has happened. So it persists. So that's what makes it a metaverse. So user, shall I come over there? Yeah, thank you. Oh, this is much better. Why didn't I? And interactivity, yes, user can interact. They should not just be able to interact with the digital world, but other people, which is really key in metaverse, because it's all about community. The social interaction that you have with each other is a key component in metaverse. Otherwise, it's just you and your robots. That's not really fun. So make sure you have access to connect with other people in the metaverse. And these are some of the examples of metaverse. Decentraland, Roblox, VR Chat, Meta's Horizon. How many of you have used any of this? Okay, fantastic. Heard about this? Okay, fantastic. So these are some of the examples of metaverse. So here's when, for example, Roblox is a video game. Here's when the video game world and the metaverse kind of combines together. There'll be more points on this in the next coming up talks. Some might wonder, what about NFC, blockchain? Do they all have to be part of the metaverse? It's an optional thing. These are additional features that can be added to make metaverse much more engaging and a tangible tool. And here we have, of course, with everything beautiful creation, there comes challenges. Some personally, as somebody who has created and hosted event in the metaverse, something we came across is when you have to have more than 50 people join your metaverse, that's when things kind of start to fall apart. Most of the platform, like even Decentraland or VR Chat, they have certain limit on the number of users you can have. As I said, you need to be able to create, each person can create their own world. So that's a lot of data. How are you holding it together? So once we reach that cutoff of 50 people, it gets a bit tricky. And it also gets difficult when you put on a virtual reality headset, then things start to fall apart. It's much easier for the metaverse to last longer in a PC version than the VR version. So the connectivity, we need to have access to internet. How safe it is, the privacy and security is a big part. You're just there, you have like 50, 60 people and all the conversation. They might be talking about work. They might be talking about how much of the data is being collected. What kind of, whatever they create, it could lead to personal information being stored. We need to focus on that. And finally, most important, inclusivity and accessibility. How inclusive and is it accessible? And a lot of people have had issues of have faced inappropriate behavior in the metaverse, which is really sad. Even in the metaverse, it's not really safe enough for a lot of people. And one interesting thing a company has done was creating like this personal bubble option. So if you create that, it can prevent it. That's one thing. So there are quite a few options. We need to make sure everything's accessible to all kind of people so they can all be part of this new journey that we have. And here too, some of the use of metaverse. Virtual commerce, retail industry has been taking over. They are the leading consumer of the metaverse. They are creating a lot of digital content. For example, Walmart has their own metaverse world. IKEA has, it's going to be releasing it soon. There's going to be a metaverse world. That's going to be very interesting to see. Because when you create a digital content, and then that's when tokenization and blockchain will come into the picture, and then you can kind of combine the real world and the virtual world. How do we connect that? This is when things get very interesting. Virtual events and experiences. This is my personal favorite because when I hosted some events for the internal events in my company, I got to meet some of my teammates who I've never met in person. They were in like different country, different states. It's still a cartoonish version of your friend, but still to see them eye to eye and to say hi and give a virtual high five and give a hug, it's really kind of deep. That's really something I find it very interesting in virtual event and experiences where you get to meet people you don't usually meet as often. And virtual workspaces and collaboration. We do things like onboarding new people so they can understand and collaborate with different people that they cannot usually do it online. And training and simulation. Imagine you have a little version of an entire industry, a complicated machinery, and then you can train and learn and perform the simulation in the metaverse. Makes it much more, it saves time. You don't have to go down to the actual space anywhere. It's everywhere where you can just put on the headset on, or even just open your PC and you can access your metaverse and train and simulate. And that concludes my introduction to the metaverse. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Sumia. And we're going to have questions for the panel at the end, so save them all up. We'll have all the lovely ladies sit here. And so, yeah, think about what you want to ask, because I've already got a million questions and I learned so much just from that. Thank you very much. So we've got Sonali next, who's going to talk about gaming. And I know that we're all really curious about gaming and where it's going with the addition of the metaverse, but also, is gaming, just for young boys, or are we going to be included, some of us older ladies that like to game too? Where are we going with all of this? So I'm looking forward to hearing from Sonali Abrol, who's our founder and director of Inevitable Digital. Sonali is an award-winning professional in the digital media and games industry, blending over 15 years of expertise in Web 2 and Web 3. Business landscapes. With a robust background, Sonali has cultivated a career marked by high-profile roles and significant achievements. She's currently the founder and director of the Australian Digital Consultancy Practice, and that includes strategic advising as well. And she's worked for apps, games, and decentralized NFT platforms. So welcome, Sonali.
Mic. All good. You could hear my whisper. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be here talking to each one of you. And while we are talking about metaverse, I think it's really important that we talk about gaming, because gaming is a really important experience that comes with the metaverse. So moving on, a little bit about myself. Thank you, Karen, for the introduction. But I would also like to add that along with my consultancy, I'm also doing research on metaverse. And the topic of my research is adoption of these technologies by firms. In my previous lifetime, I was working for gaming companies, and I have worked for the last decade or so with the best names in the industry. So I did not know that playing Counter-Strike and Guitar Hero would get me into this sort of an exciting career. But yeah, I got into the gaming industry in 2012, which was right in the middle of mobile gaming. And I learned game economy design and monetization from the founders, actually the creative director of Prince of Persia at Ubisoft. And the learnings are still with me. When I joined Gameloft and Nintendo in Australia, I think that was a really good opportunity for me to understand the business and the marketing side. But in a nutshell, I think where I have come today is at another turning point in the gaming industry, because I started my career with mobile gaming, and now I am getting towards Web3 gaming, which is at the same point where mobile gaming was when I started. So moving on, as Karen mentioned, I'm going to come here just because I cannot see the slides. So as Karen mentioned, we will be looking at the what, the who, and the why of Web3 gaming. And I would like to first understand your understanding of games. So I'm going to start with the breakout session, and I would like you guys to tell me if you can first identify the characters, and after that, if you can then tell me what games they actually feature in. All right, I'll go with the first one. It's PUBG. Yeah. What about the second one? Super Mario. The third one. That's right. The fourth. Yes, that's correct. Okay. The fifth. Okay. And the sixth. Wow. I think this part of the audience is very educated in gaming, and that's amazing. So look, I think what we really want to understand today is how the gaming industry has evolved, and I would like to first dive deep into the past. So when we were kids, at least when I was a kid, one of my favorite requests for a birthday gift was getting game DVDs. So I used to get Prince of Persia. I got the classic Nintendo console as a kid. And those were the days when the real business model in the gaming industry was all about buy and play. Moving on, in the internet, or when the internet era started, it eventually got into subscription. And after that, it got into freemium. And about in late 2000s, which is when I joined the gaming industry, along with the, the classic adoption of smartphones, free-to-play gaming sort of became the common things. And that's why we have so many gamers today. As you can see, gaming was becoming mainstream and more accessible. So far, especially in the free-to-play gaming era, we would see gamers who would spend inside the games spend anywhere between $5 to $12 per transaction. In 2022, there was $75 billion earned globally just through in-app gaming purchases. Fast forward in the present times, we have, I'm going to skip the gas bit because it's just a culmination of freemium and free-to-play. But moving forward, now when you look at the play-to-earn era, which is nothing but the Web3 game, we are standing at a turning point where we are now empowering gamers to keep everything that they have earned and invested. Sorry, I'm just recovering from flu. All right. So what is Web3 gaming? And why are we talking about it in the same context as the Metaverse? So while Metaverse is a community, Web3 gaming is it's essentially a merger of gaming and the blockchain technology. So we are enabling player ownership, true ownership of the in-game digital assets through the blockchain technology and by integrating NFTs and cryptocurrencies within the game. So what does that really mean? Up until now, you would see that the game economies were closed economies. Gamers would buy in-game items, such as loot boxes, gaming items, and game currencies. They would use it within the game, and then they would just stay within the game. If you move forward to the open in-game economy, which is powered by blockchain, gamers are now empowered to use the items they have earned within a game across multiple games. So they can use the items that they have earned within a game across a multiverse or a metaverse of games. And that is what is Roblox, and that is exactly what is Decentraland. Obviously, you cannot use all the items across all the games. You have an ecosystem. Essentially, what you can do is that you have a true ownership of the assets, which you can not just use across the games, but also trade, sell, and also exchange on a marketplace. So how does it really work? I would look at three main pillars in Web3 gaming. The first one is making the tokens or the primary currency within the game as a tradable token itself. So just like how we have crypto coins, we have game coins. So Axie Infinity, which is one of the most applauded Web3 game, sort of the one that revolutionized the industry. The coin that is affiliated with Axie Infinity is AXS. The Sandbox, which is also a Web3 gaming platform, the coin affiliated with that is Sand. And then you've got Gala Games. Now, Gala Games, they are developers in mobile gaming, and they have gradually got into mobile in Web3. And the coin that is affiliated with Gala Games is Gala. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is the introduction of NFTs itself. NFTs are non-fungible tokens. Now, I don't know how many of you, understand these terms. I just want to get a show of hand for those who do not. Oh, that's amazing. I have an exceptionally intelligent audience today. Okay, so non-fungible tokens, essentially all your in-game items are converted into NFTs, which can be then traded, sold, or exchanged. And then along with these two, you have a marketplace. The marketplace is where players are then able to actually sell, trade, or exchange these items. You can also, the players can also sell the tokens that they have earned or minted within the game. So this is exactly one of, you would say, I have tried to explain Web3 gaming in the most simplest terms. There's a lot more that goes behind the scene. But these are the three main pillars without which Web3 games would not function. A quick example, and this is a real world example. So one of my most favorite projects, they're called the CDS Games. They have been building in this space for the past 8 years. And they launched a game called Cosmic Gears in partnership with the French luxury smartwatch, Frank Muller. Now, this game is a casual game. Actually, it's a hyper casual game. And what one needs to do is that, oh, by the way, it's also a Telegram game. Did you all hear about, has anyone played Telegram game, by the way? Okay, all right. Now, Telegram gaming is actually the most unexplored market in gaming at the moment. And serious games have actually tried to target two sort of the most upcoming areas in the industry. So this game can be played on Telegram. iOS users can play it. Android users can play it, and they can also play it on the web-based Telegram. So they can play it on the PC. And it's a very simple game. All you need to do is get the sort of, you can see the different characters or the models. You need to get those characters from any of your wallets. Like, for example, this is in partnership with Bybit. So you can get it from the Bybit marketplace, enable the model or the character within your game. And the gaming mechanic itself is very simple. It's simple maths and essentially just scrolling in your spaceship. And if you are able to feature in the top 100, you get to win a luxury smartwatch from a pool of 250,000. 250,000, yes. 250,000 US dollars. So it went quite crazy, and this is something, this is one of the best examples that actually tells me how gaming has tapped into the real world rewards. And now spending your time playing games is not just paid entertainment. You can get paid for it. Like I said, so do I earn while I play? Yes, you can. While I do not say that that is something that will obviously happen, you would need to have a wallet, you would need to have a marketplace, you need to understand the dynamics. But yes, Web3 gaming enables earning potential, right? If you play it right. So who are the players? Now, just like we have different types of gamers, when we talk about Web3 games, we see player distributions across a spectrum based on the player motivation. So for those who want to play crypto games or Web3 games just because they want rewards, extrinsic rewards, which is essentially investments, they are the ones who play these games, but obviously they're not there for the fun. And then you would have the actual core to casual gamers who are looking for intrinsic rewards, and they're actually there for the gameplay experience, for the fun experience, and getting any sort of money or getting any sort of real world reward is just an additional factor. So this is the kind of spectrum. And the games that we see today are mainly aligned towards the crypto investors. Just because of the hesitation and the way the market conditions are, it is getting more and more challenging for the real gamers to get into the industry. But this is where we are. In terms of the ratio, we see obviously a high percentage of male. I hate to say obviously, but unfortunately that is what it is. In terms of the age distribution, we see surprisingly, it's not the Gen Zs, but the 25 to the 45-year-old bracket who are actually playing these games, which means that right now we really have the investors who are playing these games. Oops, sorry. Now, these are some more popular games in Web3. You've got CryptoKitties. Has anyone played any of these games, by the way? Okay. So CryptoKitties is a game based by Dapper Labs. They are developers, and it's based on the Ethereum blockchain, just like Illuvium is. So Illuvium is has got a metaverse of multiple games, and it's also based on the Ethereum blockchain. And then we've got Splinterlands. Splinterlands is based on the Hive blockchain, and it enables it also allows gameplay on other chains. I think it was Wax and Steam. So these are the most popular Web3 games. There are other games, obviously, but I think I would like to leave you guys with these Web3 games at the moment. In terms of where the future is going, I think right now, the games, when you play Web3 games, you know you're playing Web3 games. But down the line, the experience is going to become very, very seamless. You will not even realize that you are playing a Web3 game. You would sign up with your email. You would invest hours just because the gameplay experience is addictive. And after some time, you will realize that you would be able to buy something in the real world based on every coin that you have earned in the game. And that's going to be the hook that's going to actually get the gamers into the blockchain world. But overall, the experience will become seamless. And the future of Web3 games, I do not have numbers right at the back of my mind, but it has been projected that this industry will be about $700 billion plus in 2030. So that's where we are. Thank you.
It's turned back on. Okay. Ollie fixed it without just looking at it. Okay, thank you, Sonali. It was fascinating. And I know as a mobile phone gamer, I'm looking forward to seeing what else is going to be in the marketplace. Our next speaker is Ida Mock, who has thankfully flown in from Adelaide to share with us her experience around gaming. Ida is the Chief Legal Officer for We3GG, or WeGG as we say it. She is pretty an amazing speaker, so you'll hear from her about her experience. She's a firm believer in diversity and inclusion. She advocates that access to finance, health and education should never be curtailed by credit, colour or greed. She firmly believes that blockchain technology provides the means to execute and deliver this. Ida started as an M&A and corporate commercial lawyer in London with a passion for entrepreneurship, and she's built 3 startups, which have all been deployed on the blockchain. And she also runs Women in Blockchain Alliance, and she's now the Chief Legal Officer for WeGG. Come on up, Ida.
Thank you. Testing. Everyone can hear me? Okay, cool. That's my clicker. Okay. So a little bit of caveat first. I had to reconstruct my PowerPoint because I made a mistake of handing my PowerPoint to my son to tell him to clean up. And boy, did he clean up. As in a few slides were missing altogether, especially if you, and I had to like hastily reconstruct them and work from this. So yes, I'll be seeing that boy later on, and I'll give him a piece of my mind later on. Not that, but thank you very much. And thank you, Karen, for getting me here. Any reason to get out of Adelaide, I will go. So today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about game design. Okay, we talked about Metaverse. What is Metaverse? We talked about Web3 gaming. It is still a concept that is forming its own narrative when it comes to Web3 gaming. Today, the Web3 gaming narrative, it's going to be vastly different. The narrative of Web3 gaming next month. It's one of those things that you just have to move and journey with it and see how it goes. But today, I'm not talking to you about this. I'm talking about the design thinking behind a game, whether it's a Web2 game, which is a Shrapnel, you know, the Atari, the old games and everything like that, as well as the Web3 games, which is the blockchain-based games that is coming up. And the games like CryptoKitties and all those things, basically is the design about it. Now, you will see that in games, a lot of games, we're in Australia, so I'm allowed to use those that kind of candidates. So pretty much a lot of the games are pretty shit, okay? Let's admit that, okay? Right? Okay? Because the problem is that there's not a lot of design thinking that has gone into it, that's been paid attention to it, okay? I'm from the DeFi background, just to give an example. Likewise, a lot of tokens are shit. I'll be honest with it, okay? Because again, a lot of people don't think about the design of the tokens. They don't really pay attention. Games is another one. To make a good game takes time. To build a good game takes time. You need to be patient. You need to invest into that time. It's not about pushing it out and getting it done, launching it, put the token out there, and then voila, earn loads and loads of money. Because, just to give an example, game metrics are in Apple, for example, it is measured by, out of all the games that is out there, why do you choose this? If you download it, how long you keep it in the platform? How long do you play it before it goes into the background? And then eventually you offload it from the platform. All these metrics. And we have not even talked about the success of the games. We have not even talked about, you know, the core of the game. But these are the few things that we need to pay attention. Today, that's what I'm going to talk to you. So before I go, I have to talk a little bit about the company that I represent. So Karen, can you take a picture of me with this background as proof that I have done my job? So WeGG, all right. Just let the speaker talk to you about the ecosystem, okay? Which I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the ecosystem. Guilds are part of the Web3 gaming ecosystem. So WeGG is actually a gaming guild. Do we build games? No. Do we build platforms? Yes. What do we do with the platforms? We bring the people together. Who are the people? Gamers. What kind of gamers? People who just play games, right? Do we segregate them and say we want the extrinsic gamers and the intrinsic gamers? No. We bring them together. So the platform are the one that we built that has the tools, that has the attraction to bring the people to come to play. And on the other hand, because you have people who are willing to play, the game publishers, the game developers come to us on the same platform to publish their games. Because games, like anything, need players to play. Otherwise, your game is dead. So that is what we do as a guild. We basically a cross-section of what is known as social-fi and game-fi. That's what WeGG is all about. I'll let you read it. So a little bit about myself. I call myself a dreamer because I have weird aspirations for life, community, and the world. And many times I kill myself trying to reach them. I'm also an activist. I strongly believe in the advocacy of women's rights, women inclusion, and diversity. I call myself an activist because I do not like to stand and just talk about it. I like to build programs that essentially forces the program, the inclusion through. For example, Karen and I did a hackathon in Malaysia, and we implemented the 30% rule. Essentially means this: if you can't fill in 30% in your team, as with girls, female devs, you can't join. Period. Full stop. You know, that's what I mean. I'm an activist. I'm a builder, and Karen has already said that. I've built a Spool. I built Fluidity. I'm the founding team and now building the platform for WeGG. I'm a mom of 2 kids, sometimes 3 if you include the husband. And I'm a dog lover. There, that's my dog. So, okay. So let's talk a bit about the structure today. So today I'm going to just split it into game design, okay? And I'm going to amalgamate it with blockchain gaming ecosystem. And then talk about, from there, talk about what it means to design, build your design in with diversity and inclusion in it, okay? We're going to talk about a little bit about the challenges, and if we have time, we would demonstrate a use case for you all. Happy with this structure, everyone? Okay, cool, let's get on. All right. So, as I said, my background is that I am I built a lot of products that is on the DeFi, the decentralized finance, which is basically the tokens, okay? What the tokens do. And as I said, the tokens, there's a lot of shit tokens out there because people do not think about the tokens, right? In DeFi, for a token to actually work, it's very simple. They talk about utility. Your token must have utility. I'm sure you heard of it many times, right? What it really means is this. If you can design your token as something that can always, anyone will put and keep in their wallet for some use, okay? And they try not to exit it out. Your token has utility already. How you do it, I don't really care, but that's really how it is. You know, how many of you have digital wallets, your crypto wallets, okay? Now you will know that in your crypto wallets, you will always have your Bitcoin, right? You will always have your Ethereum, correct? Litecoin, XRP. These are what we call the coins that you will always make sure it is there because they have attained their usefulness, their utility, because you are using that coin to do something. So for example, in games, if you are a game and you're into tokens, your wallet will always have the Ronin, correct? So that's what it means. Why do I start with that? Because it's the same with games. It all starts with the story, not the tech, with the story. In tokens, it's about the utility, which is basically translated into not exiting your token out. In games, it's about how you built your story and what is the story. So the breakdown in the games that makes it works is that there has got to be a structure behind it. So a lot of things I said here is like, you go, hang on, I learned this in high school, English literature, composition, how to write a story. It is pretty much it, like that, really. There's nothing tacky about it. It's just that you have to think about that. You've got to have an introduction. And I'm going back to my paper here because that's where there's a slide there and it's missing. So you need to have you need to have an introduction. You start a game and the introductions basically frames the plot and say, it starts long time ago in this land, things like that. It always starts, it brings you into that. That's what it means, introduction. It introduces the character. Who is the main character? Who is the evil? What is the quest? It introduces. You need to have that, or otherwise it just doesn't work. Then it must have what is known as inciting incident. As you introduced it, somewhere along the narrative, you must have an event that basically changes it, a twist that got you into action. So you imagine, remember you start the game, it introduces everything to you, and then it says, and then suddenly thunder strike or something like that, and then you go bang, the game starts. Okay, right. So that is what we call an inciting incident. That's the structure: context, introduction, and a trigger point. Inciting incident. And then you have the action. Okay, as you start with the incident, you play with it, you will have obstacles, you will have challenges that basically you have to overcome as you move along in that game. So these are the, okay. And then you have a midpoint. Midpoint is something which a lot of games design overlook. Most games will have introduction, they have the incident, they have the action, and then after that is conclusion. Correct? Midpoint is where you have the twist. It is where halfway playing, somewhere along the line, the player stops and thinks and say, I have to decide what I should do. So it's not rushed. And a lot of games miss this thing. They completely just bypass it because this takes a lot of design thinking behind it. Of course, then after that, you made a decision. It will then, because you make a decision in the game, you don't know what's going to happen. That's where the climax is going to come in. It will build the tension, and it will build what we call it, the ultimate challenge that you're going to face in your game. And then after that, after doing all this, as a moment of pause, a moment of what we call reflection. That's what we call the falling action. You just reflect of what you have done. And of course, you conclude, which is basically the consequence and resolve of the game. A good game should have all this structure. Now, most games, if you find that most games that has these structures did not start off with a game like this structure. I'm not saying there aren't, but majority do not. Most of the games that already have this structure, they are games because the story of that game was actually a movie, like Star Wars, Star Trek. So they built a game around it. So the narrative is already there, was already there. So the game just basically carried it out and just continues on with it. But to build a game entirely on this takes time. I hope you all see why it is actually very difficult to build the game. And I hope you all see why it's not so much of a tech thing. This is the main driver on the success of a game. So after you do all these things and you put it all out and you release it, this is where you need to have metrics. Metrics are basically tools, okay, that essentially allows you to measure everything that we said just now that you put in place that is actually working. And again, a lot of games do not do this. They just put it out. So you need to have some form to measure the engagement. What do you mean by engagement? So, okay, that's the next page. The engagement is basically how long does the player engage with the platform? How long did they stay? You know, do they play for a while and they leave? How many times do they come back? And if they come back, where do they stay? You need to have metrics in the game itself that basically measures that, captures it, records it, and with that, you use those data to improve. Your metrics must be also be able to measure emotional. So for example, are you excited when you see something? Does it create tension in you when you play at a certain point? Empathy. Anyone play Farmville before? Occasionally you get this dog that come out from nowhere. Then you have to feed the dog with a bone. Empathy. See, it just pops up. And that's how game puts it inside there. Ah, I like that dog. And that's how they measure. And that's how they know this player tied to this wallet has that empathy. As opposed to someone else who basically say, dog, go away. I'm not going to feed you at all. I just want to plant my rice, okay? So, and then it has the ability to track choices. How do you make your decision? You pick up an X, or you pick up a hat, or you pick up all these things. How do you make your decision? What make you make that decision? All these are metrics again. So another one is, pacing and flow. Now, pacing and flow is tied to the narrative originally, okay? The narrative mustn't exhaust you. It must be able to bring you to certain heights and then allows you to breathe. So it's like a yin and yang thing, okay? It can't be so adrenaline focused to the point that it exhausts you. Games statistics have shown that if you build games on that part, it's very short-lived. The ones that actually people follow and stay on is because it allows you to breathe and come back, okay? So it has to have that balance. And again, if you have the narrative that is built in, you need to have the metric tools that essentially measures that, captures it, and basically feedback to the developer and says your design is good, or you need to pay more attention to this design. Pacing for the narrative recall is essentially to measure if the player has the ability to appreciate the game as a whole, as opposed to just understanding it when he went to level 12, for example. So can he remember he dropped an X in level 6? Can he remember whatever plot that he needs to build on in order to get the incentives in level 24? He needs to go back to level this or things like that. It's recall, the ability to recall. Why is this important? Because it tells that the player appreciates the entirety of the game, not just phases. And that's what makes a game successful. Completion rate is self-explanatory. How many started, how many actually finished. So you need to have all these metrics. So what I've just said here is it has nothing to do with diversity. It has nothing to do with inclusion. It is what you need to do to build a good game. So now I'm going to go into very quickly on the ecosystem on the blockchain. This is actually a very heavy subject, but because that time is not my side, I've got to rush it through. So just pace it with me, okay? So essentially, this is the layers of in a blockchain system for games, okay? All these layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 is nothing to do with the blockchain layer 1, layer 2, like Arbitrum and all that. It has nothing to do with that. It's just basically how you start with the infrastructure, which is basically the studios and toolkits and all that, okay? The infrastructure that provides all these toolkits for you to build. Remember, we talked about all those things. You build the narrative, then you need the toolkits to all this to measure the metrics. Well, someone's got to build that toolkit. Someone's got to provide that platform. So that's the layer 1, so the development of this. And these are the companies. And those toolkits development are then placed on the blockchain, because the blockchain can record the transaction. Remember what I said about how do you record the person has empathy, whether he is excited, whether he make the decision, whether he make the transaction there, it's all recorded on the blockchain. The tools are the ones that's been designed by the studios, put it on the blockchain, capture the data, and that's how it works. Launchpads is the other thing that is very increasingly seen in GameFi, actually, all right? Gaming people hate VCs. They really, really hate VCs as opposed to DeFi. Launchpads are where a lot of games built their games and essentially launch their games in order to get investment from players. So the argument is this: a VC would just invest money in your game. That doesn't necessarily mean that the VC itself is going to play your game, correct? But if I play your game and I like your game, I don't mind investing in your game. Where do you capture it? It's the launchpad. WeGG is a launchpad. Okay. Then you have the experience, the guilds, aggregators. The YGG, WeGG is one of them. And of course, then you have the games. You need to have people who build games. You need to have people, the publishers and all that. So as you can see, this is the platform. This is the publishers, and the platform basically amalgamates the two together. That is why how in gaming is moving at the moment. It's a combination of game and social-fi. Why the metaverse? Because you need a place to hang out. You play your games, you need a place to hang out. The metaverse is the place to hang out. The games are the games that they built. The blockchain provides it and captures the data. Clear so far? Okay, all right. So all these things sorry. Oh, that's it. Okay, sorry. So here's the thing now. Now, regardless whether you want to build this into a make it more women friendly, make it more diversity friendly, what I just said just now, you cannot escape. You still need to put that. You still need to integrate that. You still need to structure it like this. So now, how do you do this, but with an inclusion angle in it? And that's what we want to talk a little bit about today, okay? There are no actually science to it. I'm only sharing from my experience, okay? I believe that the first thing you need to do is you start at the table. So when WeGG at that time was YGGC started, there was only one female on the table. Her name was Irene Umar. I'm sure some of you have heard of her before, okay? But she's not a CEO, she's just community. As it went along, YGGC became less of a gaming, became more of a staking, yielding, farming, NFT platform. So it actually is a DeFi platform with a gaming, I don't even know what they're doing. But anyway, that's what it was, okay? So it abandoned the community. YGGC then revamped. Irene became the CEO. Irene brought me in, and we started to completely re-engineer the whole platform, and we brought in our flavor. So I'm an advocate, I'm an activist, I believe in affirmative action. Irene, she's a woman, okay, and we have Josh, we have Chin, and we have a few others as well, who came in with different flavors, characters, challenges. None of us actually, some of us are women, some of us were had difficulty breaking into the GameFi, and then some of them had like Chin, the sister has disabilities. So, okay, so all of us came in with that challenges to basically say that how do we make and design a platform, a game that includes all these things. Now, why do I use that as an example? Because that's the same thing that you need to do. We came out with a platform, which is to be announced, just watch the space, that essentially you will see will start embracing all this fun. To make it more inclusive, you need to start at the table. You need to make sure that the people who sit on the table are diverse as possible. And you need to make sure that they bring with them their share of history, their share experiences, because that they will then lend it in the design of the game. I know it's very fast, so I'm going to get one more. I'm going to do. Sorry, yeah. All right, don't look at me like that. Okay, all right. Okay. Then you got to move with the framing of the problem. Now you got the right team, okay, with all the diversity included. So you frame the issue. How do we ... okay? And that framing of the problem has to be inclusive. Again, I said, you don't excuse and bypass and skip the structure and the metrics which I just shared. It's just that you put the slant in. So you start at the table, be as inclusive as possible. You frame the problem by basically lending your challenges that you face as a woman, okay? Some of my team members, they had brothers and sisters who has disabilities. How do you bring that in? Because they want to build a game that also includes them. So basically, these are the two how we adopted it, okay, going forward. I don't have time, right? I know. So do you want me to end with a video? No? No. Yes? Okay, all right. So I don't have time, okay? So what I'm going to say, I'm going to end with this. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Weber partnered with Sandbox to create a design of games with the women feature prominent into it. So basically the game needs to have a women character, a strong women character. And we open up it to let our people design. And of course, when you analyze the game structure, what I've just said still applies. We're going to show you a very short clip. Can we do that? Okay, all right, about that. So you can see how they integrated it. Okay, so they're all together 10 teams who join, and they're only featuring the top 3 or 4 or 5, I think. Yeah. So enjoy, and I thank you very much for your time. Enjoy.
And they were they all female teams, or they just had a challenge that they had to?
A majority were female.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. And the thing that I love about IDA is, how long you've been in gaming? How long have you been in gaming? Feels like forever because it's blockchain dog years. We are actually going to be joined by Elizabeth here, who's going to talk to us a bit about her avatar project. But I want everyone to get up and have a big stretch, because I know there's been a lot of information. If anyone wants to grab a glass of water and come back in. The water there's glasses out there and taps while we get Elizabeth just to join us online. There she is. Give us a minute, Elizabeth. We're just having a quick water break.
Sure thing.
Gone. Gone? Not gone? Oh, her video's off? Is that her? That hers? Oh, there you are. No?
I'm here, Karen. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We've got just a quick break for everyone to grab some water and then
Sure
we'll be
thing.
back. It's a lot of information. Problem is getting everyone back in the room after that.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone online who has been patient with us. Everyone is coming back into the room, feeling refreshed. Waiting for Elizabeth there. Yeah. I'm just going to herd cats 1 second.
Can we see my screen and is the sound good while
We
we're
can
waiting?
see your screen and see you. How good is
Wonderful. It's nice when things work.
that? Okay. Thanks everyone for coming back in. Hopefully feeling a bit refreshed. Ready for Elizabeth to speak to us about Alias. So Elizabeth is a multi-skilled consultant, and she really is, because she's really good at Canva as well. Intersecting creative industries and technology. She's a founding member, team member and marketing lead at Alias, a virtual avatar content creation platform, and is currently serving as a digital specialist for Creative Australia. Elizabeth has also co-founded Muse3, a Web3 and music education platform backed by the Victorian and Australian government. And Muse3 has introduced the Australian music industry to the potential of Web3 and also engaged students from over 20 countries worldwide. Welcome, Elizabeth. She's
Thank you,
joining from
Karen.
Brisbane.
Yes, zooming in from Brisbane. Hey everyone, thank you for the introduction, Karen. I hope you're all having a great night and enjoying all the talks. I am here to present an introduction to avatars. I actually prepared my own introduction, but I'm not going to repeat Karen. So I'll give you a bit of an intro on Alias and what we do there. So Alias is a virtual avatar content creation platform. Think VTubing or TikTok for 3D characters. And our goal is to basically make avatar content creation easy and accessible for everyone. And this is my cute avatar here. It's part of an NFT collection called Vibe Heroes, but more on avatar NFTs later. Okay, so let's kick off with a description of avatars to set the scene. So what are avatars? Avatars are characters or digital representations of users in the form of 2D or 3D models. Here's a few common examples you might have seen before. So there's photorealistic avatars, which are the ones that look quite human, anime style avatars, so VTubers or virtual content creators tend to adopt this. And there's social media avatars. So for example, the ones that we can make look like ourselves on Facebook, and video game characters as well. And of course, there are a lot more out there. And there are many different types of digital identities associated with these avatars. So here's a breakdown of a few. There's true self, which reflects the actual person behind the avatar. So that includes their personality and their traits. There's alter ego, and that's an amplified or altered version of the creator. Then there's AI avatars, which are personas powered by artificial intelligence, and characters, which are totally original creations, basically anything that the creator imagines. Let's have a look at how these avatars are influencing some of our popular culture. So in gaming, the impact of avatars is incredibly apparent. You've got every day millions of people immerse themselves in online games like Roblox, Fortnite, and Minecraft. They're on there gaming, they're on there socializing as avatars, and collectively, these users spend billions of dollars every single year personalizing their digital avatars, their digital personas, and connecting with others across the globe. With brands, you'd be pretty hard pressed to find a brand that hasn't, or an industry rather, that hasn't dabbled in avatars, from creating brand ambassadors based on market research to target specific audiences, to AI support bots, to collaborating with virtual influencers to give their brand a fresh look. Music, avatars are very much not new to the music industry. Probably one of my favorite examples would be Gorillaz, who burst on the scene in 1998. Most recently, we've also seen a wave of musicians and virtual idols. So for example, there's Hatsune Miku, on the right, who's a decentralized community-driven virtual idol. And then you've even got megastars like ABBA, who chose to adopt virtual avatars to do concerts. And avatars are also having a massive impact on content creators. So from anime live streaming VTubers, virtual variety shows, education, and more. And as technology continues to improve, companies like Alias will make the creation process with avatars a lot easier and more accessible to more people. But why? So why do brands or people choose to use these avatars? Well, unfortunately, we've only got 10 minutes, but here's a couple of reasons. So to stand out from the crowd, for freedom of creative expression, to be anonymous, to maintain privacy, or to feel safe, and to create unique audiences, or to maybe even connect with particular audiences. So what does this have to do with Web3 and the metaverse? I'm going to begin with a problem. So avatars are currently facing a big problem with interoperability. And what I mean is they're trapped in walled gardens or they're centralized ecosystems. So this prevents users from transferring them across their avatars from one platform into another, which limits their utility and their reach. So for example, you can't particularly take your game avatar into another game. So these Roblox characters that people spend their time and money on meticulously crafting are stuck in Roblox, unless Roblox Corporation wants to make some big changes. You also can't take your social media avatar into actual content creation, and users are also limited by things like budgets and production capabilities if they actually want to try recreate their avatar in one world into another. So one possible solution to this is standardization. Now, of course, this won't apply to companies like Roblox who want to keep their IP on their platforms. But let's have a look at this solution in context to Web3 gaming, because we've already talked about that quite a bit tonight. Okay, so as we've mentioned, traditional video game avatars are stuck in their walled gardens. They don't typically allow for you to take a character from one game to another, right? But it doesn't have to be this way. If multiple games recognize a standard avatar format, then it is possible for one avatar to be used across multiple games or multiple worlds. That's exactly what's happening right now in Web3, and many metaverses are recognizing a standard of 3D avatars that are called VRMs. So VRM stands for virtual reality modeling, and basically it's an avatar you can take anywhere, of course, where the standard is accepted. But this means you can have a customizable 3D avatar as an NFT that sits in your wallet. And when you log into the metaverse with your wallet, you can use your avatar in this world, but then maybe you can take it into another world, and maybe into a platform where you can create content and anywhere else. So VRMs are not exclusive to Web3. However, they are becoming commonly adopted in Web3 metaverses, and a bunch of Web3 platforms. And having a VRM connected to a Web3 wallet also comes with the benefits of blockchain. So an extra layer of ownership, security, trade autonomy, and anonymity. And I think these are very important when you're dealing with your identity or your digital persona. So here's some examples of some Web2 and Web3 VRM platforms to give you an idea of some of the utility that it unlocks. And this is featuring Clip. So she's an open source VRM avatar that we created at Alias. But basically, you can take your VRM into metaverses like Nifty Island. You can take them into content creation tools like Alias. You can take them IRL with AR apps like Avatarvi, or you can take them into animation tools like Vark. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a whole virtual world of possibilities out there with VRM for individuals, brands, musicians, content creation, content creators, and more. Okay, so before I close out on our avatar intro, I do want to take a moment to quickly peer into the future and speculate what we might see. So first, the adoption of VRM standard is very much underway. So we can expect to see more tools and platforms leading to more utility for avatars. We're also going to see more customization to avatars, such as via digital fashion, 3D asset marketplaces, and easy to use avatar builders. We are also likely to see a lot more NFT avatar collections. So in 2021, some of you may have remembered there was this big NFT profile picture boom. Bored Ape Yacht Clubs and CryptoPunks were among the most well-known, being, very high value in price. So imagine this, but with VRMs, and they have actual metaverse utility that you can do all those things I showed you earlier. So these collections do already exist now, but I think we're going to see more. Bored Ape Yacht Club actually recently made their characters into VRM avatars as well. But ultimately, the hope is to see a more open internet and with less borders and more avatars. And that sums up my quick intro. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you wanted to talk about avatars or learn a little bit more about what we're building at Alias, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can also check out our website, which is myalias.id. Thanks, guys. I'm going to stop the share and hand it back over.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, Elizabeth.
You're
It was a
welcome.
really amazing presentation on avatars, and we can see the future uses of this ability to move our characters from one game to the next. And it's a very exciting world. So thank you very much. We're going to go to our final speaker. And I think Ollie's doing all the fun stuff now, the tech. Lambie is a artist and an NFT artist. I don't have a formal introduction for Lambie, but I suspect that she's going to be able to introduce more about herself. And then I know that everyone's probably very hungry and thirsty, so we're going to have a very quick Q&A at the end for all of us, and then I'm sure the speakers will be around. And after this, we will head over to platform 28 where we can really fill our tummies as well. So handing over to Lambie.
Hello. Oh, yep, that's on. Cool. Hi, I'm Lambie. I've got a clicker. I am a traditional artist. I'm actually a gallery artist. I use gouache for my paintings. I've been an artist since, I don't know, since I can remember. I really committed to it like 5 years ago, had my first solo show in Collingwood. That was a great time, but it was actually through that gallery that I first learned about NFTs. Ooh wee. Nope, not that way. Which way? Up, down, left, right? Right? There we go. This is a piece that I had featured in Vivid Sydney, which is similar to White Night that happens in Melbourne every year, but they have it in Darling Harbour. So as a collaboration with Future Art, which is roaming exhibition, I got this one up there, and this is an NFT. So my talk today, I want to be talking about how a traditional artist like myself that paints, I'm a very old school artist. I've done my 10,000 hours of life drawing. Why the hell am I in the digital space to begin with? I'm in there for honestly my love of new and emerging technologies, also different marketplaces as an artist. And for NFTs especially, the provenance of art, which is exceptionally important in the traditional art world. Provenance of art is something that's been disputed time and time again. And blockchain technology completely fixes that problem by having all of your data logged inside your non-fungible token. Now, who here knows about NFTs? Yep. Has anyone collected NFTs? Yep. Did anyone unfortunately get scammed by a PFP rug pull in 2021? It's okay if you don't want to admit it. I completely understand. So my artwork isn't the PFP business model that a lot of the mainstream media has spoken about. I'm a gallery artist, and there's an entire ecosystem within the Web3 space that is gallery art. Have I got this clicker? There we go. Look, it's some gallery art for you. So this is a piece I created a day for it. This is back in 2021, and my art is very satirical pop art. So here I've referenced the Cattle and Banana, which the comedian, which I'm hoping you all saw at the NGV. It was a big moment for me to see it in real life. But also in here, I've got a CryptoPunk on the plinth of this Renaissance style sculpture. Why have I incorporated all these things into my art? It's to make a joke about the NFT space as a whole, because PFP business models seem to be the ones that were making the tens of millions of dollars, but it wasn't until artists like Damien Hirst came in, or the Keith Haring Foundation, where gallery artists really started to be more recognized within the NFT space, and it wasn't just all these PFPs. So that was really nice, because there was a big community of us, and we're all trying to like punch through all the Bored Apes, and I feel like we got there. I feel like we did good, because from here, traditional artists like myself got to meet international artists, and then international galleries. And then I became an international artist, because as a traditional painter, I digitized my works, but now they're on screens, and now I can display them anywhere, which was really, really fun. So 6 months in the space, I went from being a gallery artist in Melbourne to an international one. because I got into NFTs. And so any of you that have friends that are artists, that might be traditional painters, they might be sculptors, they might be whatever your traditional medium is, there is a marketplace in the NFT, in the Web3 space for artists. Like there is an entire ecosystem of us that is still operating and functioning in this space, with group shows, massive group shows with like at NFT NYC, NFT Miami, Art Basel in the US and in Europe as well. Yeah, like these exhibitions are nonstop. And here I got to do a collaboration with a UK fashion designer and 3D artist, where she made these 3D models. So this is her fashion. So what she does is she creates 3D models and then puts her fashion on them. Some of them are actually made into physical garments as well. And she did banana themed because that's a part of I'm just obsessed with the cattle and banana, to be honest. That's part of my thing. And I've done some fun little animated pieces there. So this is me moving into the digital space. And this was again the start of 2021. Yes, and here we go. Unfortunately, in 2021, no, well, it's fortunately. So Christie's Auction House was like your first big real world mainstream place that had an NFT auction, a real one with digital screens. And this was their gallery setup, which if anyone's been to a gallery or if you went to the NGV Triennial and saw the screen setup, you're looking at this and you're like, that can't be Christie's Auction House. That really is Christie's Auction House in 2021. And I've also got up here asking, but is it art? Which is just a common question in the place. And it's something that a lot of traditional artists have debated with me over the years. As someone that is a traditional painter that got into this digital space, really hard into this digital space, them disputing whether or not my art is valuable at all anymore because I've digitized it. I feel like, if anything, having worked for galleries over the years as well, it's more valuable because it's easier for galleries to store. It means I'm always on rotation at galleries, whether it be in Australia, London, France, US, wherever else, because I've digitized my works. And I feel like that only adds value to an artist and also value to galleries, so they can have not only more exposure for themselves as a gallery through advertising, but being able to onboard more artists than they ever have been able to. And that's one of the biggest differentiators with this renaissance that's happened in the art world compared to any others that have happened since the ye old times one in Europe. Cool. This is Oshi Gallery in Collingwood on Smith Street. If you haven't been there, this gallery is at the forefront of digital galleries on the planet. This is also my second home. I will be lurking out the back somewhere. I highly recommend you come visit. We've actually got a big party on this Friday for Warpcast, the Purple app. So any of you that are hard into crypto are probably on the Purple app as well. Warpcast, anyone? Yes. That is a Tom Gerard, yes. Over here, we have the infamous Tom Gerard. He's done many murals around Melbourne, Sydney, and in Queensland. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of the Fed Square 20th anniversary exhibition, where we had our art displayed on all buildings and like on the Fed Square building, and then also billboards as well. Mine is tucked in over here. Yeah. Pardon? Oh, that one? Yeah, that's my art, and the pigeon just looks like me. Cool. Alrighty. But yeah, I highly recommend you go to Oshi Gallery on Smith Street. GT and Jane are the owners as well, and they are absolutely exceptional people, and they also are the people that introduced me to crypto and NFTs and everything to begin with as well. Next slide. Oh, okay, so here is just another example of why I think it's really important for artists to be onboarding new and emerging technologies, because as a traditional artist, I love getting my hands dirty and playing with pigment and paper and paint and whatever else. But I'm not so naive to think that as a business model, maybe what I'm doing isn't necessarily dying, but it's definitely going through changes, right? And I think social media has really changed that again, especially with what kind of art people are producing and what's sold. So as someone that wants to maintain being a gallery artist moving forward into the future, as you can see here, like this is NFT NYC every year. This is every year now. Like they get all of Times Square, they get all of the billboards, they hire them all out for like 3 or 4 days. This is just a normal thing that happens now. And this is only because of Web3 in crypto. Again, we've got Art Basel Miami. I've also put the Triennial down here as well. I thought their digital display exhibit was exceptional this year. I was so impressed with that. And I was also over the moon. They had the controversial AI art as well, peeping around the corner, if anyone got to see that. Huge fan of that too. And that's a cheeky Lambie in the corner at Oshi Gallery. All righty. Oh, look, That's my Balenciaga Pope again. Fantastic. Alrighty. So look, I've spoken to you today about why artists in general should be adopting Web3 technology. And as much as 2021 was an exceptional run, there's highs and lows like with any market. And the art market is a precarious market anyway. So if you're someone that's insane enough to get into it and really, really, really dedicate your life to it, then why not try crypto as well? Because it's just as insane. But at the same time, it's, if it wasn't for situations like the drop that happened in 2022, I wouldn't have produced pieces like this. So I'm someone that feeds off the world that's happening around me, whether it be internet culture, Web3, so on and so forth. And yeah, feel free to read that little summary there. I'm trying to speed run this. Yeah, feel free to read the little summary then. Again, I have the banana. I really am obsessed and have been for a long time. Are You Winning Son? The Bitcoin chart in the background. And for your deep crypto bros, I've got McDonald's over here because McDonald's tweeted at us that they were hiring at the end of 2022. Anyone remember that? That was a good day. That was a good day. Thanks, guys. Yeah. There we go. Some more of my traditional art with references to things that have happened in the space in the background, whether it be financial advice, hashtag financial advice, 1-800 pump and dump, get wrecked, all that good stuff. So as much as this space is really fun for people like myself, I'm also someone that has always been into technologies and has always really made an effort to keep on top of new things, whether it be something as simple as the Adobe update to algorithms on different social media platforms, or just other ways that I can improve myself as an artist through Midjourney, through ChatGPT, through whatever else. So I understand for some artists, onboarding them into the space is a little scary. But once you kind of see it more as you're selling your art still, you're getting paid in another currency, and then you've got more security around your art because of the provenance of the blockchain. I really feel like once artists get over the barrier of like, oh my God, computers, especially painters and stuff, then they really do start to see the benefits. And I've seen this with a lot of traditional artists that I've helped get into the space over the past couple of years. And then they've also helped continue growing this amazing culture of gallery artists that really see the future of art being digital screens, and us continually having group shows internationally, even though we're all in Australia. Yeah, and that concludes my talk. There we go. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Women in Tech. This was really fun. I hope the speed run was... Where did you get that Pepe $100 bill from? I'm going to put your clicker there. Thank you.
Thank you, Lambie. We loved hearing your journey. I know you flew through that. So I'm going to do a little poll. Who would like a 10-minute little Q&A, and who would like to go home? So Q&A? Home? No, only one. You can go home, sir. Everyone else, can we have our speakers back up for a quick Q&A? Ollie, they took away the drinks. Gone. Angel did. Yeah, we've still got food. All right, come on up, everybody, our lovely ladies. I am not going to ask questions, but we do have a... Cube. Is that on? Cube. Cube's on. Question cube. Who's brave enough to ask a question cube? Question? Anyone in the audience? Oh, here. Odin.
Do I talk in here? Okay.
Okay.
Right, that answers my question. Yeah, apparently.
Sure.
Yeah. Awesome. This feels incredibly strange. All right. Thanks everyone for the talks. And also thanks for the organizers through ACS and everyone. I feel like there were about like 10 AI conferences a week, but very few about like VR, at least. So I actually have a question about VR and how it relates to Web3 and to blockchain. So just a bit of background, me and my partner Marcus, we run a virtual reality studio here in Melbourne. And we mainly work with like, let's say, VR training modules. We work with AI as well, but we've worked a little bit with Web3, but not that much. So I was actually curious to get your thoughts about what is going to be the intersection of Web3 and virtual reality in future.
I can go. That's a great question. So that's why I decided to first clear up that confusion between what's virtual reality and what is metaverse.
Mhm.
So you can think of it like as a tool. Virtual reality is like, I see it as a spectrum. So one end you have reality, and then at the end you have virtual reality. So slowly you go augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality. So I believe you say it's completely an immersed space. The key factor with metaverse is you make it the social interaction. You have multiple different people engaging with each other. That's a very specific thing where the distinction starts to change. If we usually start with virtual reality, where it's just one person interacting, training is something we do as well. So for example, let's say I create this training space and one person is interacting, maybe the next step would be like turn it into a metaverse world and then giving it access to other people to join in as well. So if you're focusing on training, somebody, the trainers from another state or country can also jump in and give you a walkthrough of it. So, and then other features like making it much more immersive. You can go to the third step of even adding tokenization, blockchain, and get people to purchase and or block certain regions. It's allowed only for certain people. Does that help differentiating between virtual reality and metaverse? Okay.
Amazing question. Anyone else want a box? Over here, yes.
Hello. Oh, that's so interesting. Hi. So I work in video games, and it's been interesting, I think, trying to see Web3 and blockchain enter the space. And a lot of small studios are a bit reluctant. I think there's some mixed perceptions about it. Personally, I'm not opposed, but I'm just curious what you see as some of the ways of overcoming those challenges, and I guess introducing it into game dev studios and really working with them and making it more of a common platform for video games.
All right, I'll take that.
Open for anyone.
Happy to take that. So from my perspective, it's really important to differentiate the technology and the utility value as well as the terminologies. So I have had some virtual reality based gaming studios come up to me, and they are VR gaming studios, and they were finding it very difficult to get investments. And so I did introduce them to blockchain, because with that sort of approach, they were able to get investments from blockchain investors. But to answer your specific question, I do understand the apprehension. However, you need to understand that the technology does not kill. It is what you do with it. So as long as you are open to understanding the innovation and learning it, it should open new doors. But to guide you, you need to have someone who can guide you on that path, because it can come across as overwhelming and just a bit too much. I hope that helps.
Cool. Any other questions? At the back, Simon.
Thanks. I've always wanted to use this. Just in terms of to Lammy, in terms of the like, I don't personally own any NFTs, but I think it's a little obnoxious for artists to suggest that it's not art because it's made digital. I tend to agree with you on that. But what are your thoughts around from the value in the same, when you create, say, a painting and then you digitize it or digitalize it, not wanting to get into the semantics of that, but in the same way that if an artist makes a painting and then does prints, so all of a sudden I've bought an original and then that's used to create 1,000 prints, the value of the original goes down. Is that the issue, or is that part of an issue around the NFT argument for artists?
Yeah, so artists that see, only some artists though, because some artists are just completely oblivious. All I know is Bored Apes and stuff like that. But any artist that's spent maybe an hour's research, exactly what you said. So in the traditional art world, you paint a piece and then you'll offer usually a limited set of prints, right? In the NFT space, we call it one of one, which means there is one edition of this piece that exists. Or you'll have open editions where you'll have a time, you could set it to a day, 2 days a week, whatever, where anyone can jump in and grab one of your artworks. or you can have a set amount of editions. So if you think of editions just like prints in the traditional art space, that's what we're calling them in the NFT digital space, which again, yes, does generally dilute the value of the original artwork. It happened with the Damien Hirst dots. Yeah, wasn't that a shit show? Yeah, so I think like as far as traditional artists, a lot of the kind of pushback that I got was more that digital art isn't valuable at all, which I think is ridiculous. Like, what about films like Pixar and stuff like that? But what about these incredible animators? What about people using Unreal Engine 5 or whatever, and they're, you know, creating these beautiful scenes? What about Giant Swan, another incredible Melbourne VR artist? Like, what are these artists not relevant because they're using digital technologies? And that's where I get really lost in the argument, because if it wasn't for NFTs, that's why I put up the Christie's auction house. If it wasn't for NFTs in 2021, digital artists wouldn't be selling their works for the prices they're selling them today. And that's, I would be confident in quoting that from many digital artists I know in the space in Australia and internationally that didn't get serious recognition until that boom, whether they're selling it for fiat currency or for crypto. But yeah, that's a great question, Simon. Thank you.
Thanks, Lambie. You've got room for one more question over there. Yes.
Just for more context, could you quickly explain the Damien Hirst experience? I don't want to explain it, but I think it's important context, and it's a pretty fun experiment. I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, so there's a style of work for anyone that's like a developer and engineer around here. They probably know of generative art, or like just generative in general, right? So Damien Hirst did generative dot works, but wasn't it they ended up being CCO. So I'm getting confused now with the splatter paintings that he did as well. Oh, the burn, yeah, the burn tokenomics of the whole thing. Yeah, so you could like buy it and then you could burn it, and then you get tokens for it, but then that token then ended up being valued to nothing. Oh, was it? There you go. See, these guys know more than me about modern digital art history. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, right. To my knowledge on that one, more people ended up holding and not burning. Yeah. But people like Sats and stuff like that, like they collected a bunch of them, and they were not happy with the outcome. And then he had the following NFT project, which is the splatter paintings as well, which you were talking about dilution of art. So because like the generative concept of that was really, really good, until you learned that there was only 10 of these pieces created and then thousands of prints. So people that bought that original weren't aware of these thousands of prints that came out after it. And again, it just dilutes the market. So yeah, but it's Damien Hirst. What are we to expect?
I just want to, I know it's sort of close to 8 o'clock, so we've been here nearly 2 hours, and we know that we could spend all night here. I want to thank our fabulous panel and the amazing speakers tonight, our hosts, ACS, and we hope that you'll all join us again at our next Women in Emerging Tech event. We have lots of men in the room, which we love as well. Thank you. And before you leave, please feel free to fill out the survey in the little box at the back of the room, which you can't miss. Grab an umbrella, please, so that we don't have to move it to the next ACS office. And feel free to ask our wonderful speakers questions, connect with them, and we will be moving this on to platform 28, which is just down the road, for dinner and drinks. So thanks, everyone.
Woo! Thank you. Really gonna just like no, no, no.
I'm still recording, so come through.
I'm all good.